Hello, Sierra. All right, so you're getting a sneak peek as to the Christmas card setup over here. See my Christmas tree in the background? You see everything's looking a little bit Christmassy? When we do your Christmas card, it'll probably be angled off a little bit more like this because we are starting the Christmas card recording this week. So, good thing that we planned ahead and we gave an extra week to do the Christmas card recording, right? Because otherwise we'd be done if this was your last lesson. So you still have one more week next week to do your Christmas card recording. So I'm just going to send you a little video to help you out, okay? You'll notice the pole isn't behind me because I kind of worked it out a little bit. I've got it now up this direction instead. It got twisted. Let me kind of level that out. That's so much better. Okay, so you can still see music and all that kind of good stuff. So I think it's better. I think it's better. All right, so Christmas song recording next week. Also, I think that it would be a good time to have a brag week. So I'm going to go ahead and send that invitation out. Remember last year we had a brag week at the Christmas break so that way parents could come to lessons and they could ask any questions that they had. It does take a little bit of time to have those conversations with parents, and you do need to do your recording. So we'll try to make sure that we scale that accordingly, right? Your number one priority is to make sure that you have the recording and that it does well. And then we'll answer some questions afterwards, but your mom is more than welcome to come to your lesson next week to join you, all right? And we'll get this recorded and then answer any questions, talk about the spring theory test dates, the ensemble stuff, all that kind of stuff that's coming up, and make sure that we're on the same page about what your goals are when we move into spring. That really helped last year, so we're going to go ahead and do that again. Okay, so we've got we wish you a Merry Christmas. And when I asked your mom what you really needed to work on, she said that your pulse is a little inconsistent, that you're having a hard time, it gets a little choppy, and that's what we need to do. That she says it sounds really good, but it's faster and slower, okay? So I don't know how many days you were able to practice, but I do know that we talked about that in your lesson last week. So let's go ahead and turn over to my other shot there, okay? All right, yours ought to sound like this. Okay? So that's what it ought to sound like in a perfect world, right? But yours, it sounds like probably has a little bit of faster and slower going on. Remember that last week we talked about how that can happen because you're still trying to read ahead. Right? Because you're not exactly sure where those things line up. So, it sounds like with your practice this week, we haven't quite solved that one. So I'm trying to think, what could we do a little bit differently that might help you more this week? Another way that you can practice it is to just go across the bar line. In other words, you get this and you stop, okay? And you stop. And then you would use the next grouping of notes, right? Let me go ahead and flip over to the other. Like this grouping right here, right? You would do and do that again. and then you would have right, and so you can practice like that so that you are moving ahead across those bar lines. It's an amazing thing when we see that vertical line, that bar line, somehow we stop and we consider. But we don't do that in the middle of a measure. If we're missing notes in the middle of a measure, we keep going. There's something about that line that causes our brain to say, wait, stop. Okay, it's like a wall. And so you have to cross over the wall. The line is there to help you keep counting so that way you can group beats. But sometimes it's not very helpful because it does cause you to stop. Okay? The other thing that you need to do in order to smooth it out is play slower. If you can't play the song at the same rate of speed, you're going too fast. That can be difficult because when we're sitting alone and we're practicing, we're thinking that this sounds pretty slow. Right? But it's still not slow enough if we're continuing to make mistakes. Then we have to back it up a little bit, right? And it's hard when we're playing it because we think, no, that's already really, really slow. It's not slow enough if there's still the problem, right? And so if you were listening, it's different than if you're playing it. That last tempo actually still kind of sounds fast to me, right? Let's back it up a little bit. Right? If you can play it at that tempo, then that's a good tempo. And once you've played this song without it stopping and stopping and stopping, then it will automatically get faster, right? Because your brain will say, oh, okay. Your muscle memory will go ahead and kick over and it'll be able to do it at a faster rate. But you really do have to slow it down. What if you say, well, I started playing it that slow, but I still made mistakes? Slow it down some more. Right? Now, one way you can get away with not having it keep going slower is to do the other form of practice, though. Right? And right? That you'll break it up and you're just working across. You're just working across that bar line, right? And that will help your memory get stronger. That will help your muscle memory and you won't have to go so slow. But if you're doing those things and you still need to go slow, then go slow, right? Because even at that rate of speed, it's still nicer to listen to than this. Right? Which one would you rather listen to? Would you rather listen to slow or jerky? Right? Okay. So your preference matters too, and it's nice to have it smoothed out, okay? So do those things. And I bet that that will solve your problem. That and a few more days of practice. Hopefully you'll feel much better very, very soon. If you do those things and it's still not helping you, right? You could start a metronome slowly so that that keeps you on target, right? Another thing you could do would be to walk the tempo and sing the song. Like, we wish you a Merry Christmas. Right? So that way you get a better feel for the flow of the song and you get used to hearing it keeping on going. Because right now your brain is getting used to it stopping, right? So you kind of have to retrain that part of your mind because it's used to having those pauses. If all that fails and you've worked on it, then give me a text and I'll see what else I can do. But I would bet that those things will pretty much take care of it if you work on it faithfully. Earthquake, sorry. If you work on it faithfully for the next few days after you're feeling better. So hopefully that will work for you. And I'll look forward to you recording it next week. So far, I've gotten some lovely recordings and we're excited to be sharing them around the world. So be prepared to do that. Bring your mom if she has some questions for next time too. The better you are prepared with your piece, the easier it will be, and the more time we'll have for those questions. Next week is your last lesson before Christmas break. You get 2 weeks off and then you'll be back in January. So I think that's it. Your key word this week is going to be Christmas tree. You can remember that one. That way I'll know that you practiced, okay? So tell me Christmas tree in order to keep your practice days for next week. If you need anything, let me know. Feel better soon.